Good morning, Wednesday, April the 8th. S&P futures, 1 day, 1 minute time frame. You know exactly when the news hit. Even if you didn't know what was going on, you would know it was positively perceived by the markets. Let's look at the oil futures. Same time, down we come. Pretty significant decrease. Now the Brent crude gets quoted a lot, and this is a little bit different. It's the light sweet crude. But this was, flirting around with the mid one teens, and now we're at 93. Let us hope that this really will lead to a deal in peace. Let's hope that this helps us to all get along with a lot of the threat removed. Dare to dream, right? Switch back to a year chart here on the S&P futures, and just wanted to point out a couple of things. We had a peak here, 7,043. Yesterday, or I should say what's going on right now, today, if this were to hold up, and I think there's a greater likelihood of most of this, if not even more, holding today. But yesterday, we went from about 66.74, 100 points would have been to 67.74, about right there. And then we've added about another 50 to that. So just a huge day. You can see if you look right here, our range, 172 points. If you take 268, I'm sorry, I said that wrong, 68.29 right now, and you added 100 points to that, you'd be at 69.29. And if you added 73 points to that, you'd be flirting with another all-time high. Now, that's not a prediction, that is putting it in perspective. Do I think that we are going to hold this today? Good chance. Do I think that we are going to have a similar day tomorrow? Probably not. But I did want to point out that we've gone from a lot of fear, I'm biting fingernails, and we're going to go into a recession, and we're going to have at least a 20% drop in the market. We've gone from that mentality to within striking distance of a new all-time high. Okay, I've switched to a year chart on the S&P 500, and if I go to December 31st, look at this closing number right here. If I go to December 31st, we closed at 6845.5. I've been saying all this year that I thought we would have an above average year. Any study that I've ever seen puts the average annual return at approximately 10%. I've seen studies ranging from 9 to 13%, depending on how you handle survivorship and dividend reinvestment and things like that. So if I take our December 31st close and I multiply it by 10%, so I'm going 1.1, that will put us at 75,530. If we get this oil problem solved, we'll hit that. I'm still expecting us to have an above average year. I still think that is very, very likely, very, very reasonable. As I mentioned yesterday, it might be time for us to start looking at the usual economic data. Because of what was going on with the conflict in Iran, this had been a lot less important than it usually is. But I really think we can see the end of the finish line, if you will. And so it's time to really start thinking about economic data again. We'll want to see where PCE comes out tomorrow, where GDP comes out. And we'll also want to look on Friday and see what our inflation numbers are telling us. So today's best guess is that we hold most of today, and a little bit harder to predict, but hopefully we can follow it up with a strong Friday tomorrow. That one's a little more less likely than for us to hold today's gains. But I do think we'll hold today's gains. We'll see. Good luck out there.